unlike any other YouTube video that we've ever recorded, this one is very special. With me, I have Mr. Eric Holter, CEO of Holter Strategies, veteran, creative entrepreneur, marketing entrepreneur for over 30 years. Eric?
30 years, yes. You had to say that to start. Thank you. It's great to be with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Today we have a very special announcement to all our viewers, all our clients, and it is that Streben.io is now a Holter Strategies company with Eric leading it as a CEO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm super happy to have to met you all and to have been able to negotiate and work out this opportunity, and super excited about the future.
That's amazing. Eric, that was a lot that we said, but let's go back to your beginnings. We now know, your trajectory. I personally know all your expertise and how you've built companies from the ground up, how you've built teams. But let's go back to young Eric, back in Rhode Island.
Yeah, well, I'd say pretty much from when I was a kid, I always had business ideas. I would put on carnivals for the neighborhood. I would respond to those ads you were seeing. You can go sell Christmas cards door to door. There was always some entrepreneurial thing that I was doing. So that I ended up doing entrepreneurship is not a surprise. But then I also had an artistic bent. I always loved art and drawing, so I ended up going to art school. So that combination of creativity and also entrepreneurship, that's pretty much defined my professional personality pretty much from day one or not long after.
Wow. And after school, you graduated from the Rhode Island School of Design as an art major.
Illustration. Yeah.
Illustration, wow.
Yeah.
And when do you say, a normal job is not for me, I am going to build something from the ground up?
So right out of the gate with illustration, you're pretty much a solopreneur right away. You don't get a job as an illustrator usually. So right out of, as soon as I graduated from RISD, I started sending my artwork around to art directors, creative directors, publishing houses. And back then you had to go to the library and get lists and write down names and addresses and then type them and send mailers and make follow-up phone calls. It was a lot of work, but I was actually learning some of the core things of what does it mean to do marketing, because I had to market myself as an illustrator. My particular area of focus was wood engraving and letterpress printing. That's what I really focused on in college. And so I started to get some clients and be able to sell my illustration work. One of my clients was an advertising agency called Pagano, Schenk & Kay. Woody Kay, who was the creative director there, he also went to RISD, so he kind of saw that in my cover letter and liked my work. So I was beginning to get that freelance career going. It takes quite a while. My wife then got sick and really couldn't work for quite a while, and I just didn't have the time to continue trying to get an illustration career going, so I had to get a real job. And Woody Kay, the creative director, he gave me a chance to come into the studio there and begin to just do prep work, prepare ads. And back then, this was right before computers took over. So it was literally sending out for photographic type and cutting it, pasting it up on boards, getting stats made, cutting Rubylith, like all the old production methods before computers took over. And so that was my first job was working in advertising. That would have been 1993, 1994, somewhere in and around there.
Was Corel around? Do you remember Corel? Adobe? Was any of that around?
Maybe. I remember the very first tools were PageMaker and Quark Express, Illustrator, Photoshop, version 1. When I was in college, they had one computer station, which you could book time in to try to, learn things. I had no interest, though, in computers. I was like, I'm working with metal type. I'm making illustrations in wood. That's what I want to do. And so, yeah, there was not a lot. There were a few computers here and there, and even in the advertising world, one or two in the studio. They had one or two Macs set up. but otherwise everything was mechanicals and hand done stuff, just like it was done since 70s and earlier.
Wow. And how do you go from that to building your first major digital company,
Yeah.
Newfangled?
Yeah. So I was working for that one advertising agency. They moved to Boston, and we had just had our first child, and I was having to leave at 6:30 in the morning and get home at 7:30 at night, and that was not going to work. So I left that job and went for work for another advertising agency in Providence, Rhode Island, Leonard Monahan. And part of what I did at Pagano Shank & Kay was but when I started, there were very few computers. But within the 2 years that I was there, by the end, everything was digital. So I kind of led them through that. I didn't know what I was doing. In fact, I remember my interview, they gave me a trial as a freelancer, and I had to interface with the computer for the art directors. They had no idea. I had just like this much of an idea. And I remember this one moment where the creative director said, okay, can you bring the T and the H a little closer together? And I'm saying to myself, I don't know how to do that. So I put the cursor there and I say, I know how to track the whole line. I wonder if I apply tracking to the space between the letters, if it would work.
Yeah.
Boom. He was like, oh, that's great. Oh, you did it. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So they thought I knew what I was doing. And then I just read every book that I could and really did learn what I was doing over those 2 years. And so, like I said, by the end, everything was digital. So when I came to the new agency that I worked for, they wanted me to do that for them. So I began that process. And this would have been 1994, 95. And about halfway through 95, maybe it was very early in 95, I remember Bruce Leonard coming into my office, one of the owners, and he said, hey, one of our clients is asking for a website. What is this www thing that I keep hearing about? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard about that too. I can find out for you. So I literally, after work, drive to Barnes & Noble, and I find Laura LeMay's Learn HTML in 7 days. Now it takes like 21 days or something. But back then, 7 days, you could learn HTML, and I learned HTML. I already knew how to use Photoshop, and that's all you needed. Like, this was pre-Netscape.
Right.
You had a gray website. You could make things links. You can upload a GIF, and that was about it.
Oh my
So
God.
it's very, very simple. But I learned how to do that, and right away they needed a website for Atonic Athletic, and they needed a site for Polaroid, and they had me build them because nobody else really
Knew how to
do
build
that.
websites.
And I really enjoyed it. So when I was doing letterpress printing and wood engraving, you'd think like these are completely different things, and they sort of were very different. But the thing that was in common for me is that I could actually build the whole thing. I could craft this whole thing. With my printing, I literally did a letterpress book for my degree project, and I could do the whole thing. I could design it, I could set the type, I could print it, I could bind it, I could produce this book. And that was really fulfilling for me. With websites, similarly, I could code it, I can design it, I can I can upload it, and I made this website. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And so once I started building these sites, I was like, this is what I want to do. Of course, I was still doing letterpress printing and wood engraving, which is why my name of my company was originally called Newfangled and Old Fashioned Graphics.
Right.
Because I would be at the computer one day and at the press the next day, back and forth.
Computer, yeah.
The demand for websites increased. The demand for letterpress printing, not so much. So eventually, the old-fashioned part went away, and it was just the digital. And I loved it so much. I was like, I don't want to keep doing this studio work at Leonard Monahan. I just want to be doing websites. So I launched myself as a web developer and kind of had a good client because they were using me. So I already had a really good agency client and started sending out letters to find more clients. And in 1995, it wasn't hard because there weren't many people doing websites.
Many people doing websites.
Yeah.
So Newfangled was one of the pioneering agencies for what's now, a web agency.
Yeah.
In 1995, right before the dot-com boom era.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning.
You're like what we would call a real OG,
The nice fortuitous thing there too was that I had previously tried to market myself as an illustrator. So I had contacts with creative directors and art directors and publishers. And so all I had to do is kind of flip the switch and say, hey, by the way, I'm doing websites now too.
Right.
And they were like, get in here today, because all of our clients are asking us for this website stuff. We have no idea what they're talking about.
Do. Wow.
And so, yeah, it was very easy to go from myself hiring my friend from school, adding 2 programmers, adding another programmer, hiring a project manager. So within a couple of years, we had
it's
5,
important
10, 12 people.
It's important to say that back then there was no ChatGPT. Back then there was. This is far from it. There was not.
There was no Google.
There was no Google. There was not even templates back then, right? Like WordPress templates where you can quickly build and have a
simple
website.
Text, and you wrote HTML.
Right. That's
and you
it.
FTP'd them up to the servers. Yeah.
Was there even Python back then?
Or
CSS?
No CSS for sure. No.
Oh my God.
Everything was embedded in HTML. Absolutely.
Wow.
That was, when they wanted to change something, it was.
Yet you managed to build Newfangled, to, 7-figure company where it sustained throughout the years. And it was like your first, company from the ground up. How does that feel now, knowing now that it's much bigger and that it was something you bred?
Yeah, it's so exciting to see the company go from an idea to an actual thing where people are employed and clients are being served and creativity is happening. It was really exciting. One of the things that happened in the process, because I went to art school, I had no idea how to run a business. They don't really teach you very much about that in art school.
Yeah.
A couple classes or whatever.
Or school in general.
Yeah. So I hired a consultant right around the year 2000. It was probably 1999, I bet, when I hired David Baker. And he's still an excellent consultant in the industry, really, really focused in on creative marketing, professional service area. And he's really the one that taught me how to run a business and how to deal with management issues and marketing issues and finance issues. Because up till then, I was just playing it by ear. Like I had my spreadsheet for my financing. Like it was a mess. And I really learned how to run a business. And unfortunately, right after that period is when the dot-com bubble burst happened in 2000, followed by 9/11. And the market went from super, super easy to get clients to everybody doing absolutely nothing.
Right.
So I learned how to run the business. I learned how to market myself. And one of his things, which is the thing that I do still today, is find an area of focus for your positioning, know what you do and who you do it for. If you can commit to those 2 things, now you can build something. You can market something. You can repeat something. You can build expertise, which is part of what has attracted me to Streben. Well, I'm sure we'll get to that. And that's what I always did. So with Newfangled, the focus was partnering with advertising agencies and design firms for web development. So we spent as much time educating our customers, our agency partners, writing newsletters month after month, taking phone calls, just talking to them about what was going on in the industry as we were just doing the websites. And so during those years following 9/11, about 4 years, from 2001 to 2004, we went from 12 people to 5. We barely survived that period, but we were investing in our marketing and sending out those newsletters and focusing our expertise. We had built our own content management system, so we were fine-tuning this system. We came up with a process called gray screen prototyping, which really changed how we built websites. And so over those 4 years, we just were scrappy and we gutted it out. And then when things got back, it was like a big boom. All these clients started coming. So the guy that I was training to run the company, he had moved to North Carolina, which is how we ended up in North Carolina. And he just started having so much business that he had to hire. So we went back from 5 up to like 12, 15, I think up to 18 within a few years.
Within a few years. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you decide at some point, my job here is either done or needs to be reshaped.
Yeah.
What point did you decide that?
It was somewhat accidental. So there was a principle I was following, which is run the company in such a way that it can operate without you. It makes the company really solid. It enables you to sell it because if the company depends on you and then you sell it and you exit, the value's gone.
Right. You lose the entire business.
You could. It's very, very difficult. Finding that transition is very difficult. So I had put Mark O'Brien is the guy who runs Newfangled today, who I sold to. I had already trained him to do sales, to handle client relationships. And essentially all I was doing once he was in place was writing this monthly newsletter that we sent out.
That sounds like a dream job for a CEO.
Well, for an entrepreneur, it was kind of nice for a little while.
Yeah.
We had moved to North Carolina. I spent time building a shed, building a swing set for my kids, kind of like just enjoying my time. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to last very long. So I needed to be doing something. And right around 2007, 2008, I kept having new ideas for the business. I can take it in this direction. Social media was just starting. Facebook had just launched. I was like, well, we could become a social media company and we can branch out in this. And I kept realizing, you know what? Newfangled is working. It's successful. It's profitable. It's got more clients than it can service, which is always where you want to be. And why mess with it?
Right.
And I realized that the only reason I was tempted to do that was because I was bored as an entrepreneur. and so I decided I'm going to go and do one of these things. I don't know which yet, but I'm going to go do that as a separate thing and let Newfangled just be itself.
Yeah.
But David Baker again advised me at that point, well, that could work for a while, but if I'm truly not in the business anymore, and the business is being run by somebody who doesn't own it, that could last for a few years. But eventually that key person says, you know what, I'm doing all the work, I'm taking all the responsibility, and I don't have ownership.
Right.
And that doesn't really work very well.
And that led you to your first exit.
Right. Yep. So we worked out a deal between myself and Mark that he would come to own the company. And it took a while to work that out, but that ended up being successful. And between 2008, 2013, I think, is when we finally completed the process. And he owned it fully.
Wow. Fast forward, thank you for sharing that. And fast forward, you say, wow, I built this from the ground up, but that doesn't mean I don't have to do it once. I can do it multiple times. And you start building the umbrella under Holter Strategies, right? So talk to us a little bit about what happens next, right? What makes you say, I am not going to touch something if it's not broken, why fix it? But I'm still going to embark into building, growing, and making these businesses as efficient and as profitable as possible.
So I really appreciated what David Baker did for me. And I had an even deeper understanding of this particular area of like website and design. And so I decided I'd try to consult as well. So right after I sold Newfangled, I started consulting, and that was going pretty well. Again, starting something up from scratch is always really difficult. It takes time to go from zero to a company. But I was picking up clients. One of the clients that I picked up was a company called Cuberus, and they were kind of a standard web design shop in Durham, which is where I was, and I was advising them in the same kind of ways that David had advised me, particularly around positioning yourself. You have to know what you do and who you do it for. They knew what they were doing. They knew websites was what they did, but they didn't have a focused niche. They just kind of,
all over the
owner was well connected with a lot of people, had a lot of friends, was a relational guy, and would just pick up clients.
Anywhere.
And we
still
still have clients at Cuberus that he,
randomly picked up. Do you want it? We do it. You want it? We got it.
But I advise them, if you really want to grow and control your growth and scale, then you have to pick a focus. And they had done a few museum sites up at that point, and so they said, let's focus on museums. And I was, through the consulting, I was really enjoying helping people learn how to run their businesses better, to turn them into their almost kind of glorified hobby to something that actually was profitable, effective for clients, valuable. And once I was helping them do that, I began to feel a little bit of this, like, I'm advising them how to do it, but every time I advise a company, I'm always thinking, boy, I'd like to get in there and actually make it happen.
Make it happen,
And frankly, a lot of the clients, when you're a consultant, you can tell them the right things to do, but very few actually do it.
Right.
They can
right,
see that that's the right thing to do, but either they aren't willing to make the change or the decision or to just grind it out. And so a lot of that value doesn't get captured.
Right. Doesn't transpire.
So with Cuberus, it turned out a couple years later that Ray, who was the owner there, he had to relocate to San Diego. And so he had a shop with about 12 people, and he wasn't there to run it. And I was feeling more like I want to actually transform the company. I want to actually get in there and do the work. I know how to do the work. I want to have at it instead of just advising them what to do and then they don't do it.
Right.
And so I reached out to Ray because since he wasn't going to be there anymore, he really needed somebody there to run the company.
Right.
And I said, I wanted to have equity in the company, but if he was willing to talk about that and negotiate that I'd be willing to come in as CEO there and
Wow.
and bring that,
Wow.
turn that company around.
And Cuberus was your first official acquisition.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Everything else I'd bootstrapped myself, built myself.
Yeah.
This was the first time I was coming in. This is an existing company, and I'm going to buy into it. Originally, it was just a partial equity, but then after a few years, he sold the entire company to me.
Wow.
He didn't want to run a business. There's some creatives that it's like, if I have to look at a spreadsheet, I'd just rather not.
Yeah.
So,
I want to do a quick parenthesis.
Sure.
Because now it makes so much sense that you've put together this book, Blazing the Freelance Trail, Professional Practices for Creative Entrepreneurs, where you literally spit all your secrets and all your strategies on how to go from a glorified freelancer to an actual profitable business owner.
Yeah.
And I think this is really valuable, especially for our younger entrepreneurs that, could be, especially in the social media era, could be entrepreneurship is being glorified or it's being portrayed as easy or as sexy or as something that's anybody can do it. And in this book, you mention the importance of having the departments being structured in the right way for scalability.
Yeah.
You also talk about things like staying small and profitable by learning to say no, because, one hat does not fit all in the case of a business. And you talk about this perspective where if you're a creative entrepreneur or you're a marketer, you may be good at what you do. And perhaps that is keeping your clients happy is your primary job. But as a business owner, keeping your business profitable it should be your primary job, right? So walk us a little bit through what are the primary things that, needs to shift from that small business entrepreneur or that freelancer to a 7 to 8 figure business owner or business in general.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to do that, particularly because a lot of creatives, they start off because they love to do the work. And they want to just do it more. And so then they get successful, but then all of a sudden they're running a little business which has other demands on them. And so they're going to hire help. And if they just follow that trajectory naturally, they end up moving further and further away from the work that they got into doing in the first place.
Right.
That can create a lot of resentment. Potentially, it's like, wow, I started this business because I love the work, and now I'm just doing meetings and handling finances,
dealing with the
marketing,
IRS.
All sorts of very, especially if you hire someone out of another state, and now you got to get an unemployment account set up, and I hate that part of it. And if you don't have that deliberate mindset, like I'm doing this in order to build a company, and instead you're doing it because I want to do this work, but I just want to be able to do more of it, more successful, make more money, then that can be very frustrating. In the book, I talk about a fork in the road that every kind of solopreneur has to come to and decide for themselves, do I want to build my business in such a way that I still do the work, but that it can be more profitable? Or do I want to build a really profitable company? Do I want the profits to be able to not be constrained, but I can move away from doing the work?
Right.
And that has to be a deliberate decision.
Right.
If you don't make that decision and then operate accordingly, you're going to end up very frustrated, or you're going to implode because you just can't sustain it.
Right.
So there are ways to build a company where you're doing the work primarily, and you hire certain people to help you manage the aspects of the work that so that you can keep doing the work.
Right.
And it can be very successful. It can be profitable. It probably can't grow as big as the other
Right,
approach.
8,
It's
9
going to have a cap,
figures. Yep.
but it could be a very lucrative cap.
Right.
But you need to decide that and operate accordingly. If, on the other hand, you just want to build a successful company and you want it to grow as big as it could possibly go,
Right.
then you have to do it completely differently.
Right.
Who you hire, when you hire, all of those decisions are going to be follow that trajectory. And unfortunately, most people, they just follow what happens,
Right.
and it kind of forces you into a place where you have to be the operator and not the doer.
Or not the doer.
And if you didn't intend to do that, then you can be very frustrated with where you've ended up.
Right. Right.
So the book is organized around 5 principles. Hopefully I'll remember them.
If not, I have them right here.
Money, management, marketing, minutes, and motivation.
Right. Right.
And one of the things that is so critical that I try to drive home in the book is that they all have to be, you have to hit on all cylinders there. You can, if you are missing one, then the rest don't work.
Right.
If you're not paying attention to your money, your pricing, your policies around about billing, then that's going to short circuit your ability to manage people properly. If you don't manage people properly and have the right roles in place, then you're going to put cash flow problems in place.
Right.
And if you don't have your marketing figured out, you're not going to be able to fuel any of it.
Right.
And if you don't control your money and have the right people around you, you won't have time to do marketing.
Right.
And if you don't measure your time and know where time is going, then you won't be able to correct and balance all of those things out in the first place. And if you don't have the right mindset in terms of motivation, you're going to crash and burn.
Right.
And so you really have to, deal with all of those things. And that's why with consulting, I always organized around those principles. I think if you can divide them up and explain them individually and then show how they all interoperate, that's what you have to learn. And it kind of takes a book or, a longer term consulting engagement or just buying the company and doing it.
Eric has generously put together the book and it's available on Amazon. So I highly advise that if you are an entrepreneur trying to scale, trying to figure all these 5 principles out, we will drop the link below for you to purchase the book.
And I'll make $2.
And that's why I said generously, because
you don't make money making books.
You don't make money making books, and this is a work of pure love and pure passion.
Yeah, I want to help people, young creatives who are just starting out. You don't necessarily have to learn by mistakes, which is how I learned.
Right.
You can, if you have the opportunity, avoid some of them, and that's what I'm trying to help people do with that book. There.
Right. So, highly recommend getting it. Well, on to the biggest topic.
Yeah.
Streben's acquisition. So as a lot of you guys may know, we started bootstrapped. We started with a Wi-Fi and a dream, wanting to serve the small businesses, wanting to bridge the gap between those high-priced agencies that you ran, right, and that you've had so much experience on, but also not be a cookie-cutter $100 product that will not impact the business at all. So that was the vision from the ground up. And I come from a family of small business owners, and I would see their struggles, and I kept seeing the .com bubble. I kept seeing everything, how the digital landscape was changing, and I'm like, what will happen? So I see these agencies, the $10,000, the $20,000, the $30,000 a month agencies, and I see this copy-pasted $99 solutions. But I kept questioning, what would happen to the small business owners, the ones that are not too small to, not do anything, right? But yet not too big to be able to afford an agency like the ones that you had built, right? So Streben was born out of that work of love. And similar to your previous ventures or to the current businesses that you own under Holter Strategies, it just went one after the other, the other. One client referred and referred and referred. And every client validated the idea that there is a need for a high quality,
Yeah.
mid-pricing agency that these small business owners could rely on. Not just like I said, not a copy-pasted solution, not an AI agent, but an actual incredible team that could remove the small business owner from dealing with the marketing or work collaboratively with an internal cooperator. And once Streben had grown past where I felt that I could serve as a CEO, I reached out to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So about a couple of years ago, I started really thinking more about acquisitions. So I sold my companies, again, somewhat accidentally. And then I kind of bought a company somewhat accidentally. Like I wasn't out there looking to buy a company with Cuberus, but I was looking, I just saw the opportunity that they needed someone like me, and I wanted to get my hands back into actually doing the transition, doing the work of forming and shaping and growing a company again. And I had already had that relationship with Ray, and so that worked out. So the last couple of years, I thought, well, what if I do that deliberately? What if I just look for opportunities where companies are in that right spot where I can take my expertise and help the company grow to that next level?
Yeah.
So I started looking around and found your opportunity, and I've looked at a lot of opportunities over the last year or so.
Right.
And so many of them reflect companies that didn't operate well, didn't do all the things in the book. You can tell they want to exit because they're
desperate,
exhausted.
Right.
But the company's not really valuable.
Right.
Because without them, it doesn't operate, and there's really no profit margin to give it a valuation. But they try to make it look like it is. And
Right.
So I looked at so many. And also, it has to have that focus. It has to have positioning. It has to know what it does and who it does it for. Can you leverage your expertise?
Right.
And so with Streben, finally, I found one that's like, oh, wow. They're doing local marketing for brick and mortar companies that need to find customers, build customers, get leads. Very, very clear. And with some particular niches that they understand even more than others, so that you can take the expertise and leverage it. And that's how, like you're saying, you can have a mid-priced offering that's extremely valuable because the clients are gaining from that focused expertise. They're not just hiring a company that knows the mechanics of marketing and will take you on as a client and just spend a lot of your money.
Charge you for research.
Yeah.
What I call charge the first 3 months for research. Yeah, we're in the research phases.
Because we don't know what we're doing yet. And we're going to have you spend a lot of money to give us that education. You've learned how to do that. You can replicate it. You can take that advantage, and you can put it to work for these kinds of companies. You have a very clear client qualification. Like you know who you're looking for. And you know if you're talking to somebody that you really can't bring the value, you're not going to sell them because
that's it.
Why?
That's it.
They're going to leave if you don't deliver the leads.
Our marketing director, who's sitting right here, who's built those pre-qualifications, knows that there are specific automations in which we say politely, "Hey, this may not be the right fit right now," and it goes back to your principle. It goes back to learning how to say no, because in order to attract the right type of customers, you need to understand them. You need to learn what value you're bringing them. And a business that says yes to everything, and again, I also went through that stages in the early years. Where it's
you kind of have to when you're bootstrapping.
You have to when you're bootstrapping, but when you shift your focus, that's when scalability can find you.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you're able to repeat the process over and over and over and make it more efficient.
And that takes a discipline that most creatives just don't want to do. It's something they talk about in the book is most creatives want to explore and experiment and play. And the idea that they would commit to doing one kind of thing for the same kind of client over and over again, they bounce right off of that idea. They don't want to do it, but that's where the value is.
Right.
And that's why you can take a very reasonably priced service compared to the alternatives that charge 10x sometimes
10x,
what Streben might charge, and get less results from them. You have a value because you've learned how to do this. You know you can do this. You know how to match it with your potential client, and then that's a perfect situation where you're bringing value, they're gaining what they need.
Right.
That's what businesses ought to do, and
Right.
you're bringing a lot of value. So I saw that right there, and Streben, there was that focus. Number one. Number two, you know how to do lead generation for yourself. That's almost every other
Marketing
opportunity.
agency.
They tout that they just get all of their customers through word of mouth and referral as if that's a great thing. That's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing.
You can't depend on that.
Right.
Again, if the owner who has got all those contacts and relationships exits, well, then where's the word of mouth and referral? It's really the person there more than the brand.
Right.
So if you remove the person, you've just lost whatever lead gen there was, and even then it wasn't controllable or very strong.
Right.
So you had both of those figured out, and you've positioned yourself to kind of, you're doing the sales aspect, but you've got a team now, a really, really great team that is going to execute.
Without a doubt.
And all of those things are like, this is what we need to do, and it's at the right level too, right? Like we're okay. The next stage when you grow a business, you start with yourself.
Right.
You grow up to like 3 or 4.
Right.
And you can stay there for a while or stay there permanently if you choose. Then when you grow, you go up to like 8 or 9, which is sort of where you're at now. And you can operate a certain way, and you can choose to stay there, or you go to 15 to 18, and then 30. You can't increment bit by bit slowly across those spans, because the scale and the way things operate and the roles involved, they have to adjust and adapt.
Evolve, yeah.
And so, you knew you took it to this level, and that was where you were going to take it, but you wanted to see it grow. And so now I'll be able to utilize all those principles and figure out, okay, what are the next steps to get to that next level, and hopefully the next level, and see how far we take it.
To all our clients watching, it's so important that they understand that this partnership is not about, as you heard, right? Eric is not about changing or breaking things that are already working. It's so important that even in early talks about our partnership, we constantly kept saying we're gonna keep what's working, and we're going to fix we're going to build what will get to the next level, to the highest standards possible.
Right.
What would you want to say to both our clients who may be watching, or our potential clients who will eventually or are considering becoming clients, about this incredible partnership that we're putting together through this acquisition?
Yeah. So leveraging expertise is good for a business like Streben, and it is great for the client. The value that you create when you can partner those things together it's just a beautiful thing. It's why I love business. I love entrepreneurship and building valuable companies that bring value to clients. It's a win-win for both parties, and it's really a win-win-win, because the company providing the service obviously is winning, the client is winning, but the clients exist to serve other people. So if their businesses are more successful, then all of their customers win as well. So I just love that this is what business does in the world, and I'm excited to make that happen, even more. And then there's also just other things that we can do. The future right now, what's going on with AI and all the potential there, and some of the other businesses that I own and the things that we're doing, we can bring even more to the table there. So the value that's already there, we can augment that further, and then the companies that I own, they learn from each other. So there's something going the other way with what you do. So again, bringing those synergies together, again, it just increases what's already valuable and make it even more so.
Right. Looking at your portfolio of companies, one thing in the conversations of this early in this partnership that I continuously kept telling our clients, you guys are scaling. As we've partnered up to help you, the small business owners or the owner operators scale. There are things that, as much as I would like to, I've never built a 9-figure business. We're between the 7 to 8 figures, right? So it's like, once they get to that level, they would come back to the marketing team like, oh, well, you guys are the responsible of this growth. So how do we become a franchise now? We're past 8 locations. Thank you for bringing us from 3 locations to 8 locations. Steph, now I have all these opportunities, or these people that want to turn me into a franchise. Help. And one thing that I kept mentioning to them as we kept telling some of them that, this partnership was soon to be real, was, hey, we might have been able to help you from 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 to even 30 locations, which some of our client books currently have, even past 30 locations. But beyond a certain number, not only will you need a higher level of expertise, but we, as a young one startup agency, we will also need that higher level of expertise. So it's like the clients are growing, and then Streben needed to grow, and we had a lot of knocks coming to our door. The moment I met Eric and Austin, who's our new COO, I remember, we had a big deal team, right? So we had our advisors, we had our lawyers, we had the financial institutions involved, and it was a great deal team. And I remember mentioning to the Streben M&A advising team, all these people look great by their resumes and their accomplishments and accolades and their net worth. But Eric and Austin are the people that we want at Streben. And it was a crazy position because not only have been working on this for almost a year now, but how did I communicate that to the team where they're like, oh my God, change. What's going to happen? Everything will but we've built this, but there's ownership in this, and someone's going to change it, our jobs, etc. So it was for my, entrepreneurial friends and that are looking to scale through acquisitions, partnerships, and even scale in general. It is so important that you learn how to navigate through those multiple roles. And even it wasn't a crisis, but it was change nonetheless. So one thing I kept saying is that I don't care. It's not the valuation. It's not the legalities. It's not the ease of the process. It's a person that, we want to bring into Streben. And you and Austin were those people.
And Austin's really critical to this story as well. I mentioned earlier, finding the right people and then putting them in the right roles. Part of my path in looking to acquire, the first step for me was, I know Austin. Austin, we'd like to work together.
Right.
Austin's got this skill set and capability. And so as I was looking with an eye toward, okay, what's a good fit for Austin to be the operator of this? And particularly, this was, I think, just providence that his focus. He previously worked in a dental
private
as
equity
COO of a dental conglomerate.
He had built teams from 0 to 90 people.
And
it's a Tuesday.
The kind of clients very, very similar
to
the kind of clients in the business model. Understanding, even once a lead comes in. How do you make sure that you are able to capture that lead by having good sales scripts for the front end staff, handle those phone calls effectively, training those people, the kinds of things that Streben might do in the future to add even more value to their clients are things that he's already done in the real world from the client side. So I think that was also really exciting. This is, not only does this check all the marks in terms of the kind of business that I know how to operate and scale and grow, but it's perfect for his skill set to add even more to. So all of those things coming together, and then the process of, how everything going through all those conversations and the whole acquisition process, I think we just kept confirming more and more. It was like every meeting we had, it was like, oh yeah, that too. That is a really good fit. There was hardly any, well, that's a problem. It was almost all wow, no, that's going to be really good too. So very exciting process.
Very, very exciting. I think there's a saying, and I think I heard Warren Buffett say this, which he mentioned once, that if the deal takes longer than a page, that means you're doing business with people that do not have similar values. So the filters in which we make business decisions is guided by our values. And one of the things that I'm mainly excited about for this partnership is that those values will remain and the values will be maximized to its highest, level of potential. And to close, I know there's a lot of news coming in after this announcement, and there's going to be a lot of questions, but is there something you would want to say to those entrepreneurs, or even to the small business owners that are entrepreneurs as well, that are watching this video, for them to take home and really digest and think about?
Yeah. So in my book, the middle chapter is on motivation. So if you're a creative entrepreneur and maybe you've already gotten started, you've got a couple of clients, you've got something going, or it's still just a dream and you're just starting out on the path. Knowing why you're doing what you're doing is so important. And I'm a little bit of a contrarian on what you hear most of the time, follow your dreams. Okay, sure. If you don't have dreams, you're never going to start anything. So, that's sort of a given.
Right.
If you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of going to do this.
Right.
But as soon as you're past that, I have a vision. I'd like to bring this. You have to start to look at your motivation, not so much as I'm going to change the world, I'm going to make an impact in the world. You will. But that you're just going to bring good into the world. That when you create a business that offers value to clients, that's going to improve their lives, and then, like I said, the lives of their customers, that is just good. That does good. It builds value. It builds wealth. It builds products and services that people need.
Yeah.
This is what you're involved in.
Yeah.
This should be your focus. And then having that, so as opposed to thinking, how do I build myself up and fulfill myself and fulfill all of my dreams and purposes? Because that's, in the grand scheme of things, that's too small.
Right.
Right? We all are very, very small, living on a very, very small globe in a massive universe. And for a very short period of time, if everything is just about me, then we're really thinking too small. We really should be thinking about, okay, I have a spot that has been assigned to me in the universe. What good can I bring from that? And if you focus on that, that's going to give you, I think, a little bit more of a maturity of mind to go about the kinds of things you're going to have to do.
Right.
Because some of the things you have to do are boring, tedious,
not easy,
repetitious, not the fun.
Not the fun.
But if you have your eye on, it's not just about me going to work every day and fulfilling my dreams. It's about bringing something valuable and good into the world, which can last way beyond you.
Right.
And so I think just changing that mindset before you kind of head out onto the trail and figure out where you're going to go is really helpful. So kind of have your mind in the right direction, and then learn the kinds of things you're going to need to learn, and hopefully you'll be able to bring a lot of value into the world.
Well, Eric, I'm sure you have already, and I am very excited to be an evangelist of your journey, which is our journey now together, bringing a lot of that expertise into this digital landscape, into the small businesses of the nation that will need Streben at a higher level more than any other time before. So I thank you for your presence here. I thank you for everything that we've been through in the past year. And I'm very much looking forward to our union, to our partnership, to everything that we will be doing for Streben, not only under Eric and Austin's leadership, but as a team together. So
thank you. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
Oh, thank you so much.